What is going on with Starfield? If you've been on YouTube these past few months, you will have seen a number of videos about how bad Starfield is and how much it sucks. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from these videos or saying that they're wrong. In fact, I agree, Starfield definitely could have had some touch-ups and been better in some areas. But at a certain point, I have to admit, it does feel a little bit like hate engagement bait. Put Starfield in the title with is garbage, and bam, you have a video with at least a few thousand views. Bethesda isn't undeserving of some of the criticism. Some of their responses at public outcry when Starfield released could have definitely been handled with more care. You had Todd Howard telling players to get a better PC.
Why did you not optimize this game for PC?
We did. It's running great. It is a next-gen PC game. We really do push the technology, so you may need to upgrade your PC for this game.
And Bethesda themselves was allegedly erasing negative player reviews. There is a reason these videos get so many views. A large majority of the public has seemingly turned on Bethesda, and maybe not everyone who watches these videos agree. Yeah, it could be a few people who disagree, but I would imagine that most actually agree with the points made in the videos. But why is this the case? Why did so many people feel like Starfield wasn't that good? And was it really Bethesda's biggest flop? Well, to start, we do have to look back into the past. Bethesda was at the forefront of RPGs and became a very well-known publisher on the PC platform with their releases of games like Daggerfall and Morrowind, and later crossed over into the console community at the height of consoles, in my opinion, around the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation, releasing titles like Fallout 3, Oblivion, and Skyrim, just to name a few. Each of these games around the time Bethesda started to release games on console had portions of people who had issues with them. In fact, no game is immune to this. With Fallout 3, some fans felt like it deviated greatly from the entries prior. Skyrim faced criticism of being too dumbed down and much of the player choice being removed, causing the RPG aspects to be watered down. And Fallout 4 was also hit with many criticisms, from visuals to the art style and even the game's story, seemingly being the most divisive in the franchise from critics to fans alike. And this is the point in time for me where I started to notice a lot of the criticism of Bethesda in general started to get more and more apparent. And with the release of the infamous Fallout 76, it seemed like Bethesda's beloved state in the video game industry was over. No longer were they the beloved publisher that brought us classic games. Fallout 76 damaged their reputation in the way that is still causing Bethesda to suffer today. Even with Fallout 76 being actually pretty fun and maintaining a relatively strong player base, in the world we live in today, when it comes to game releases, if you put out a game and it's objectively bad across the board, your game will always be remembered in that negative light, from live service to single player. It doesn't matter. When we finally got our hands on Starfield, for the most part, the critics seemed like they liked the game. Starfield had a high bar to reach and even more pressure due to it being delayed and also an Xbox ecosystem exclusive. But it seemed like it reached the bar. I wouldn't say leapt over it, but it did just enough to clear the bar, metaphorically speaking. With it receiving fair praises, and most of the knocks against the game seemed to be the amount of loading screens and lack of vehicles for planetary exploration, the critics seemed like they were at least satisfied. But the gamers, they were pretty harsh on the game. If you check any of the storefronts that the game is on, it has low reviews, with it sitting at a mixed and mostly negative on Steam in particular. Not even Fallout 76 has that. And I can confidently say Starfield is a much better game than Fallout 76. So why is Starfield so low? I think people's expectations for Starfield was very high. For me, I went into Starfield wanting more of the same from Bethesda. I just simply wanted it to be a visual upgrade and have a nice, compelling story and experience to go along with it. And that's exactly what I got. So I was satisfied with my time with the game, and I even find myself going back to it from time to time. I do have my own personal gripes with the game. I'm not saying it was perfect. The game should have had at least 4 other major political factions to go along with the Freestar Collective and United Colonies. They also needed more pirate factions instead of just the one we got, and another fringe faction or two to go along with the Spacers and the Ecliptic Mercs. Because Starfield's universe is so big, Bethesda kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit, because the larger they made the universe, the more cities, characters, factions, etc. they would need to fill that space up. And I don't think Bethesda did a good job of doing that. They tried their best, but it wasn't good enough. In my opinion, a better Starfield game would have had all the previous additions I just said with half the amount of systems we got in the initial release. Oh, and a proper bounty hunt system too would have been nice. You can do bounty missions, I know, but you literally only have one option: kill the bounty. There are no non-lethal options available. It's like the game teases you with this possibility of capturing targets and throwing them on your ship and bringing them back to space jail, because the ships literally have prison cells in them, but you can't put anyone in them. Maybe there's a mod for that, I'm not sure. My main issue with the game though is the lack of vehicles. You often find yourself traversing over vast lands of emptiness. While at times that can be immersive, sometimes I don't want to walk all the way over to a point of interest on the map. I just want to get there as fast as possible. Still though, if the game had all of what I said and then some, part of me thinks the reputation would have been relatively the same, because players wanted another jump from Bethesda. Kind of like what we saw when we went from Morrowind to Oblivion and Oblivion to Skyrim, and we didn't get that with Starfield. Starfield pretty much felt like a better Fallout 4 in space at its core. When players realized this, they were a bit disappointed. So how does Bethesda move forward from this to the next title? All roads lead to Elder Scrolls 6, and it will be under a heavy microscope, more so than what Starfield was under. With this being the 6th entry into this franchise, and it being set in the fantasy genre, it will also no doubt be drawing comparisons from Elden Ring and The Witcher alike. And that's not necessarily fair or right, but that's just how things go. I do think Bethesda is capable of making that jump we're looking for. It's clear the company is still very ambitious in trying to do the never been done before. What I believe at the core of what's hamstringing Bethesda from making that jump is their game engine. The creation engine, I know, it did get an overhaul, and from that we got the creation engine too. But is that enough for Bethesda to fully realize their visions? It could be. We honestly have only seen a peek of what the Creation Engine 2 can do. Starfield was initially supposed to release on last-gen hardware, so whatever Bethesda wanted to do with the game was in the confines of that hardware, the Xbox One and the PS4. We truly won't get a real look at what the Creation Engine can do until we get the Elder Scrolls 6, which at the time of this recording has been spoken about once again. On the 30th anniversary of the Elder Scrolls, Bethesda Game Studios stated, "Last but not least, yes, we are in development of the next chapter, the Elder Scrolls 6. Even now, returning to Tamriel and playing early builds has us filled with the same joy, excitement, and promise of adventure." I do feel a bit better knowing that Bethesda will have access to Microsoft Pockets. This Elder Scrolls will have a bunch of investment from Microsoft behind it, from financial to marketing. I also expect the team to grow substantially for this title, seeing as it's arguably their own personal GTA 6 when it comes to IP popularity. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.